This is 3 sleeper wide receivers I'm going to try to play in my lineup this week if I'm decimated by injuries or have a lot of buys. And the first guy is Nelson Aguilar. Yeah, I said it. Nelson Aguilar of the Las Vegas Raiders now. Former Philadelphia Eagle. They just wanted him to produce year after year, give him a chance. But anyway, they cut him in this offseason, and now he's on the Vegas Raiders, and he hasn't disappointed. I recommended him as a top receiver pickup this week is Aguilar, after coming off a 6-catch, 107-yard, and a touchdown game last week. This guy's putting up number 2 receiver fantasy numbers, and this week he's got a nice matchup versus the Cleveland Browns. So Aguilar, I'm not expecting him to have another 100-yard game, but at a guy at a flex or giving you 12, 13 points, that's what I could see, and this is why he's a sleeper. You're not going to expect him to go out there and have a monster performance, but you could expect a decent game out of him. Henry Ruggs, he's just not getting the job done over there for the Las Vegas Raiders. Aguilar's taking that role more, so he's a guy I like to plug in my lineup as a sleeper. The second receiver is another guy that hit the wire this week, and hopefully you picked them up in a few leagues. Is Rashod Higgins of the Cleveland Browns. We learned Odell Beckham Jr. is out for the season with the torn ACL, so obviously he's not coming back. Higgins stepped up in Week 7 for the Browns with 6 catches, over 100 yards, and this week he's got a good matchup versus the Raiders. Is Higgins. I could see him having 6 or 7 catches for 80 yards, which is another productive game in PPR, which is 14, 15 points. I know the Browns like to run the ball a lot, but Higgins, he's the number 2 over there now. Landry, he hasn't cut it as a number 1, so maybe Higgins could be a sneaky 2 over there in Cleveland. He looked good last week. I know it was Cincinnati, but if you got a lot of injuries on bye, or your receivers, you start 3 in a league, Higgins is not a bad option to go with. So he's the second receiver I'm going to start as a sleeper. And the third and final receiver I'm going to start as a sleeper this week is Scotty Miller of the Tampa Bay Bucks. We saw him come off a huge game last week with a nice touchdown catch in the back of the end zone. And this week, Chris Godwin is out. Antonio Brown not ready yet. He's suspended one more week. So Scotty Miller, he's had a couple good games and a couple bust games. But this week on Monday Night Football, as a receiver to put in there as a sleeper, he's not a bad start. Like I said, him and Brady's starting to work on the rapport. Brady's hit him on a couple deep balls over the last few games. Last week he had the blow-up game with Miller with 21 fantasy points. And this week he versus a weak Giants secondary. So I could see Miller getting by him for 1 deep ball. And he's not a bad play at all. So if you need a receiver as a sleeper this week and you're in a pinch, Scotty Miller, he's not a bad option. And like I said, Godwin's out. So now that leaves him with Mike Evans, who's done nothing all year. Pretty much the rookie Johnson and Scotty Miller. So go out there, get Scotty Miller if he's available. If not, if he's on your bench, start him anyway. So if you need a sleeper, Scotty Miller, not a bad option this week. So that's 3 wide receiver sleepers I would start going into Week 8 of the fantasy football season.